What's up guys, Justin Greel here with 65drums.com, and today I'm doing a master tutorial of the Roland TD30 module. If you're a subscriber, you know that last week I did a review of the Roland TD30K that's sitting behind me. I've had it for nearly 4 years, and I really like that drum set. Unfortunately, the module is very complicated. That's why this video is here, and that's why you're watching this video. You want to know how to use it. I'm going to start this video assuming you know nothing about the module, and then build it to some more complex stuff later on in the video. So I hope this video helps you out. Alright, so now I'm going to show you a little bit on how to get around this drum module. So here you are in your master screen. You can use this scroll wheel to go through all of the kits. Now the first 80 kits are basically the ones they've created for you out of the sounds. And every kit after number 80 is just user kit, user kit, user kit. And as you can see, I've got a couple of other kits right here. So let's start off with the kit studio. Usually you don't want to change any of these kits right here because you can always copy them over to the user kit section over here. So you can mess around with this user kit version of kit number 2 without having to mess up how the kit is naturally. Alright, so let's do that right now. Let's say I want to make the kick drum sound bigger or more powerful. What I do is I hit the kick drum first, and then I go down here and press instrument right here. This is how you edit the drum set. This is your menu to do different things to the sound right here. So you select a drum by hitting the kick drum or whatever it is, your snare, your tom. Press instrument, and then you press F2 for edit. These keys do different things depending on what is on the screen right there. That's why they're called F1 through F5. So press F2, and right now you're in this screen where you can adjust the pitch and decay time. So if I want to make it sound bigger, I can just lower the pitch right there. Sorry you can't hear anything right now, but I'm just going to explain how it's going right now. And you can even tune it up all the way to, I don't know, like 300 plus. So if I go to instrument, if I press instrument again, now I'm in the menu where I can select which kind of kick drum I want. The reason why the only editing control I had on the sound was the pitch and decay time was that this is an electronic kick drum. It's just, it's something like you'd hear in dance music. But if I go over to something, if I go to the first one, Hall Cut, and press edit, now I have a ton of different editing control over it. So if we start on F1, we'll be able to adjust the shell depth. So you can use the scroll wheel or these two plus and minus buttons that I've worn off the symbol. This is plus, this is minus. If I press plus, as you can see, I can make the shell bigger or smaller. So if we wanted it to sound bigger, we just make the shell a little bit bigger. So I'll go to deep 2. And if we press the down arrow right here, that's how we select that part of the menu right there. So if we press down, now we can adjust the beater type. So if we want it to be a more soft sound, we'd have the felt beater. But if we go over to plastic, you'd get more of a slapping sound. So I like that for this particular drum. So let's do that. Now if we go to F2, now we've selected the head options. Right here, we can select what kind of virtual drum head this whole module has for you. So let me go over here to clear. Again, this will get you a more punchy sound than if you did a coated drum head. So let's go to clear. Over here to muffling. This is where we decide how much resonance the drum will have. So right now it's off, but you can go all the way up to tape 1, tape 2, all the way to weight or blanket. So I usually like my drum head to resonate a little bit, so let's go to tape 2. And down here we have snare buzz. You know, on an acoustic drum set, every time you hit the kick drum, your snare chain rattles a tiny bit. You can adjust that right here with the snare buzz option. So you can go down from muffling to snare buzz and then just press the plus button or use the scroll wheel to adjust how much snare buzz there is. And then if we press F4, this is where we can do mic position, mic size, and kit resonance. So mic position. The farther your mic is through the hole in the kick drum, the more muffled and bassy it's going to sound. And the farther out, the more distant it's going to be. It's going to sound more punchy. It's going to sound like an overhead mic slightly. I usually like to have it at like outside 1 or so. If we press the down arrow, now we can adjust the mic size to large or normal. It's nice to have this, but sometimes having a large mic size is overkill because it's just way too bassy. So I usually keep it at normal. If we press the down arrow one more time, now we have kit resonance. So that's whenever you hit the kick drum, you'll hear the toms ring out slightly. You can adjust that all the way to 8. You see the animation changes all the way down to nothing. All right. And now if you ever want to get out of this menu, press exit, exit, and now you're back to your main menu. So that is how to edit every single drum. So if I hit like the cymbals, so I hit the hi-hat now. I press instrument, since hi-hat has been selected, now it shows up. Now, what if I wanted to edit the hi-hat while I'm playing? You know, every time you hit an instrument, a different instrument will show up. So if I wanted to lock this down so I'm only editing the hi-hat, when the hi-hat is selected, I'll go over here and press lock. Right now I'm hitting the tom and it's not being selected. I'm just editing the hi-hat because I pressed the trigger lock button. So now let me press edit, and now I can do the same thing right here. I can choose mic position. I like to do inside too because I like very bright hi-hats. If I go over here, I can decide if it's a fixed hi-hat or if it's like an open and close. I can decide how open I want it to stay no matter how hard I hit the pedal. Or I can do any of that. Of course, you want it to be normal so you have control over it. Over here, you can add a sound to the hi-hat, like a tambourine or whatever. And then you can decide how loud that is by pressing the down arrow and then adjusting that level all the way from +3 to -3. And if you go over here, you can adjust the size. Right now, this is a 15-inch hi-hat. I could adjust how big. I can have 40-inch hi-hats. And I can do that with the kick drum too. I believe I can adjust the size of the kick drum. I usually like to go an inch or two larger of a cymbal than what they usually give me right out of the box. Okay? And so that's how you edit every single instrument. Let me just unlock. Now I can adjust a different instrument. So same thing if I go to like a ride cymbal. Now what I have here, I can adjust the size and the sustain, which is how long it rings out, and of course the mic placement. But with the rest of the cymbals, you have a different trick, where if you press F2, you can adjust the sizzle amount and type. So let's say I want rivets, and then I press the down arrow. Now I can adjust how many rivets are in that cymbal, then they'll make that sizzling sound. Or I could have a chain, or beads. So yeah, that's the trick that the other cymbals have. So like I said, I pressed the exit button twice, and now I'm back into the main menu. That's how you adjust every single drum. Once you learn how to adjust one kind of drum, you can adjust every single drum there is. So yeah, this, as you can see, just with that little editing section, this module is extremely powerful. Now let's go over to Ambience. Right here, like I said, this is the master button to start making your drum sound different. So if I press Ambience, here we have control over the overhead mic selection and how the room sounds and the amount of reverb. So overhead mic right here, and actually this entire ambience section is tied to this ambience slider right here. So even if I put all of these to 100 or 127 and max them out, if this ambience slider over here in the group faders is turned off, then nothing I do here has any effect. And so yeah, usually keep it at about 0 and then change it from there. So overhead mics, it will give you a very punchy sound. So you can adjust how much overhead mic there is, or you can just turn them off by pressing F1 and then it says off, or you can turn them on. And the room, this is like the room ambience. I'll show you how to adjust what kind of room you're in, but you can turn that on and off and adjust how much room ambience there is. And over here you have reverb. Again, I'll show you how to adjust reverb in a second, but again, you can turn it on and off and adjust how much there is. And then you can go to ambience only. So you won't hear yourself hitting the drum. You'll hear the sound of your drum echoing off the walls and everything. So that's really fun to see how that sounds. It's a cool effect almost. Okay, so I turned the ambience only off by pressing F4 again. Now if I press edit, I'll go over here into the deep settings of each of those 3 effects that I had right there. So right now I'm in the reverb section. I can adjust the reverb time. If I go down, I can adjust all kinds of other things about this reverb, okay? And if I press send, I can adjust what drum gets the reverb. I could have reverb only on the kick drum. See this K right way over here? Reverb is like turned all the way down to 10 for that. I can adjust it to be as loud as I want, or I can decide I don't want reverb on my kick drum, okay? So if I press exit, I'll be in the screen I was in 2 screens ago, okay? So I'm gonna press edit again. So I don't usually use very much reverb. It's not something I really go for. Now if we press F2, now we're in the overhead mic section. You can adjust how high the mics are, or if you want them on the floor. You can adjust mic width by pressing the down arrow. Press it down again, and you can adjust the level. Again, overhead mics, usually I keep them right about there high. If we go over to F3, we are in the room ambience section now. So a lot of these sounds are made of synthesizers. A lot of these sounds are fake. The Roland TD30 module is made out of real and fake sounds. I don't know which are which, but you can adjust the virtual room that you're in. So this is the ambience. Yeah, studio is more of a dry sound, and then you have jazz club, and then you have stadium, which makes like a big echoey sound. In every room, you can press the down arrow and adjust the room size to make it big or small. And you can press the down arrow again and adjust the room shape, how like wide it is, I guess. And then go down here, and you can adjust the wall texture. So this is a wood wall room. I can make it plaster, concrete, glass, and each one of these settings will affect the sound. So you got to be careful, because every time you adjust one thing, it affects everything else. So if you wanted a kit that sounded just really dry, not very bassy, little settings here and there can like just do lots of damage to the sound that you were trying to get. So just be careful and adjust little things at a time. And then of course, mic position in your room for the room ambience. Now this is different from the overhead mics. All right, and then of course back to reverb. So if I press exit and then exit again, now we're in the main screen again, back to normal. Now let me just explain something to you about how to get to the kit you want. Let's say you wanted to use 3 kits in your gig. You wanted to use kit 1, kit 5, and kit 8. You don't usually have time to select between those kits if you want to do all 3 of those kits really quickly. Let's say you wanted to use them all in one song. You don't have a second to lose. So you can either scroll through them with the plus and minus buttons or the scroll wheel. It's easy to miss though if you're in a hurry. What you can do is set up a chain. We go over here to chain and press chain. We have a couple of chains. You can select through the chains by using the chain forward and chain minus button. You have tons of chains to choose from. And a chain is just a group of kits. So let's go to chain 2 and press edit. Here is a list of kits in this chain. So we said we wanted kit 1, kit 5, and kit 8. So now that we're in this list, we can select kit 1, press the down arrow, kit 5, press the down arrow, and kit 8, okay? 1, 5, 8. And now press the exit button. And you can name this kit as well by pressing edit and pressing name. I'm just gonna keep it as the name rock. Okay, so now we're in chain 2 with the 3 kits I've selected. Now when I press the forward button, as you can see, it's just cycling through 1, 5, and 8. So you don't have to go through all the kits. Imagine you want to use kit 1 and kit 99. You don't have time to scroll through all of those. So a chain is just a convenient group of the kits you need. And you can have a single chain for every song in your gig that you're playing. So this could be song number 1, song number 2, song number 3, song number 4, whatever it is you want to do. So I just wanted to show you that. Let's go back to the drum kit section right here. I've shown you how to use instrument to edit things and ambience. Now let's go over here to multi-effects. Here you have control over all of the effects in this drum module, and it is a really, really powerful effects section. You turn on and off the effects with F1. and you can go to multi-effects only, so you don't really even hear yourself drumming. You just hear the drum set through the effect in a really extreme way, but you usually don't use that. So if you press that and make it on, now you can go through all of the effects like distortion, wah, pitch shift, all kinds of different stuff. And if you ever want to edit any of those, just press the down arrow and then the side arrows, and you can adjust, like here's auto wah. You can adjust the rate, the depth, peak, polarity, all that good stuff. And then you can go back to the top by pressing the top arrow and just going and scrolling through them again. If you press the right arrow from the top, go all the way to the top and then press the right arrow, now you can adjust how loud that effect is in your mix. And if you go over to F3, multi-effects send, here's where you can send that effect to any number of your drums. You can have it send equally to every drum you have, or just only to your snare drum. You only want the effect on your snare drum. You can do that. Okay, so that's how you use effects. Let's go over here to compressor. Compressor, if you don't know what a compressor is, because I sure didn't when I got this drum module. A compressor basically takes the distance between your softest hit and your loudest hit and pushes them together. So your softer hits will be louder and your louder hits will be quieter. This is not unique to this drum module. All of the music industry uses it. And a compressor just brings out some of the details that you didn't notice in your drum, although it does change the dynamics. So the dynamics of your drum set aren't quite as good because your softer notes are a little bit louder and your louder notes are a little bit quieter. And again, you can deeply edit the compressor by adjusting the threshold, the gain, the ratio, the knee, all of that good stuff. Okay, so actually I'll go back to compressor because this is also the EQ. So if we go over here, master compressor. We're in master compressor right here in F2. But if we press F3, now we're in master EQ. So you can adjust the highs and the lows. If you go down here, see that? I've adjusted the highs. I can cut them out, I can add them. And then you can go over here and adjust the highs. You can adjust the lows, the highs, the mids, all that good stuff, okay? But you can also go down here to comp EQ. And this is the same thing as master comp, except on each individual pad. So again, you would hit the kick drum. And now you're only adjusting the EQ on the kick drum. As you can see, I've boosted the lows, cut out the mids, and then have the highs kind of flatlined for the kick drum, and that's the sound I want for the kick drum. But I can also, and I've turned, actually you can see the EQ is off for that. I can turn, the compressor is off for that. I can have a compressor on the kick drum and have a compressor over all the instruments at once. But I don't have the compressor off for the kick drum. I'm just using the master compressor over the entire kit. And by the way, my favorite compressor is Comp 2. Just wanted to let you know that. So exit. So yeah, here's how you would adjust the individual compressors and individual EQs of every single instrument. And I think that's pretty awesome that they let you do that. Not only do they let you EQ your entire drum set, but each individual piece of your drum set as well. Then of course, right over here is your master mixer, where you can adjust the volumes of each individual pad. Now you can do that over here as well. You can adjust the volume of the kick drum and stuff. That's one of the reasons why you would buy this, because you would have access to the group faders. But it's also nice to be able to do it in the software as well. And you can adjust the overall kick volume, the overall kit volume as well right here. And the minimum volume, so let's say you just have a really weak foot and you never seem to hit your kick drum hard enough, you can have the minimum volume coming out of that kick drum to be higher than the other instruments if you want. And of course, pan. They usually set up the pan. Pan is which speaker each sound is coming out of. So let's say the kick. It'll come out of both speakers right and left, or your headphones right and left equally, because it's the kick drum. It's in the middle of the kit. But if we go over to crash, that will come a little more out of your left ear, because your crash is usually to your left side or to your right side. And then you see tom 1, 2, 3, 4. They go from left gradually to right. So isn't that interesting? So they try to trick your brain into making it sound more real by using the pan function. All right. Now if we press exit, we're back in the main screen again. Let's see, what else should I show you? Oh, There's actually, I could talk about this thing for an hour. So let's go over here to setup. Here is some of the settings of the internals of this drum module. So here, if we press F1, we can select output. We get to decide what goes out of what port of this drum module. So we can decide you could have a pad come out of your headphones. Let's say you wanted your kick drum sound to only come through your headphones and not go to the master out that plugs into the soundboard. You could technically do that if you want. Or you can also adjust it so, let me see here. You can adjust other things in other parts of the module where like a click track only shows up in your headphones and not through the master out. But here's where you would select each individual pad, whether it goes to the master out or just your headphones. Okay. And of course, right here, you can adjust if the ambience goes to the master out or just you, or multi-effects, or the click track. That's what I was talking about. You can have the click track just go to your master and your headphones, or just your phones, or just your master, whatever it is you want to do. If you plugged in a USB thumb drive to the back of the module, you can decide if the audience can hear the song you're playing to out of that thumb drive, or if you just wanted to experience it as a drum solo. So if I would press the arrow button all the way to the right to USB song, as you can see, there, it's not coming out of the master outs anymore. And now it is. All right, so let's go back to exit. Now we're back in the setup menu. Control is a foot switch. So let me just show you this right here. This is a guitar foot switch, but you'd use these two to do different functions in the drum module. And as you can see, it has a 1/4 inch jack right here that you plug into the back of the module. You can't really see it. But when you put this on the ground next to like your kick drum pedal or your hi-hat pedal, you can adjust what you want that button to do. So right now, it's set up. So if I press this button right here, it will take off the snare chain. If I press this button right here, it'll basically make the hi-hat have a drop clutch. So you don't have to hold the cymbal down in order to get that sound. And you can adjust it so one of the buttons turns on the ambience, or one of the buttons plays a song, or one of the buttons switches chains between different chains like I was telling you about, or a different kit, like kit 1, kit 2, kit 3. By pressing the button on your foot, you don't have to go mess around with this because you're holding drumsticks. You don't even want to touch the module anyway. So you have control over all of that. It's kind of cool, actually. All right, now if we go to F3, and if we press F5, we can adjust the LCD screen. I probably should have done that before I started this video so you guys could see slightly better. I think that looks pretty good. So you can adjust how bright it is, blah, blah, blah. Okay, if we press exit and go to F4, we can do a factory reset. Do we want to do that? No, because I've spent a lot of work on these sounds, but I've done it a few times. Let's say that you've been editing one of the kits 1 through 80 like you shouldn't have. You should have just made your own kits from 80 to 100 so you didn't mess up the kits they already made for you. But let's say you really liked kit number 2, LA Metal. But now you've edited it so much, it's pretty much dead. It's too far gone, you can't be saved. And you just want to do a factory reset. You can press this, and then press factory reset, and it'll just be like when you just bought it. Okay, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, F5, now we have extra settings right here. We have kit select. We can decide if we want to be on the Roland TD30 side of the module, or the Roland TD20X side of the module, or the USB. If you remember, the Roland TD20X was the flagship drum set of Roland a few years back, and it was succeeded by the Roland TD30. And you have the entire sound bank of the Roland TD20 module in this drum module. You have 2 modules in one right here. No one really talks about it, possibly because those sounds aren't as good as the Roland TD30 sounds, but they're there. And I believe the USB button right here, you can take kits for someone else's drum module and load them into your own. I've never really played with that feature, so I'm not going to try to explain it. And if you press here, you can adjust the input and the output gain, all that good stuff. If you press more options, you can adjust the auto on and off. Let's say you forget to turn off your drum module. You can set this drum module to turn off by itself. And over here, I haven't been in these settings in a long time. That's why I'm being a little slow. Wireless, I want to tell you something about this right here. You can buy this little Netgear wireless internet dongle and plug it into the USB port in the back of the drum module. And then when you do that and set up some things, I'll leave a link of my tutorial on this in the description below. But if you plug this into the back of the drum module, you will be able to record wirelessly to your iPhone. Not Android, only iPhone. iPhone and iPod Touch. And it's really fun. I've actually recorded a bunch of my first videos using this thing. And it's cool. You don't have any wires. You just press record on your phone and it records anything that you're playing. Plug that back here in the USB input. That's all the setup menu options. Now if we go over here to trigger. Okay, so if you press sensitivity, now whenever you hit a pad, we're on the VH11, the hi-hat. I've set it as a VH12 for some reason. But you can adjust what kind of trigger you're telling the module you have. So let's say you go buy a third-party pad that's not made by Roland, and you can go through the trigger settings until you find a trigger setting that will fit with that weird cheap pad you bought off of Amazon. Because you can make a lot of different pads work with this drum module because there's so many different trigger setting type options. Okay, so once you select the correct trigger type for the pad you've plugged into that slot, press the down arrow, and you can adjust the sensitivity. So that way, even the slightest tap will be a really hard trigger. Or you can just make it so you have to hit it really hard to get anything out of the drum module. I set the hi-hat to number 9. And then you have rim gain, which you can adjust right here as well. If I go over here to hi-hat, I can adjust things like foot splash sensitivity, noise cancel, offset. If you go up here and you press tempo, you can adjust the click track. So you can press on right there, and then you can press on. You can press F4 so that there's a reference light that clicks to the beats per minute right there. Or if you can't stand that flashing light, you can just turn it off. You can turn the click track off. Use the scroll wheel to adjust how many beats per minute your click track is going at. You can adjust how it sounds. So it could be a pulse sound, a beep sound, a metronome sound, cloves, wood block, sticks, because we all get sick of the metronome sound. So being able to change that sound is nice. And then you can adjust the pan of that click track sound, which is nice. All right, and you can adjust the output. Again, this is another way to do it. You can adjust it so it's only going to your headphones and not to the master out, or to the master and the headphones, whatever it is you want to do. And then you can adjust the time signature. So you can have it as 4/4 or as an interval, any of that good stuff. Yeah, so I think I'm going to end this video about right here. This has been a half an hour. Yeah, I hope you learned a lot about this drum module. It is complicated and there's stuff I didn't explain to you. I still haven't learned everything about this drum module, but that is a pretty good crash course and it should get you going in the right direction right away. I hope that video helped you out. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe because I have a new video about electronic drums every single Sunday, so be sure to subscribe to see all of those. And also, if you want to see my review of this Roland TD30K, I'll leave that link in the description below. It really is a great drum set if you're looking at possibly buying it. I just recommend you buy it used because it is a little bit overpriced, not gonna lie. All right, I will see you guys next Sunday. See you later.